You are 100% likely to get final wrong results if you do not fix this before analyzing your data. If your survey has a question like "I feel sad sometimes" mixed with question like "I feel happy most days," and you just choose to ignore it, that is a big red flag in analysis. Today, I'm going to show you the simplest way possible to fix this in SPSS. And you do not need a statistical background to be able to do this. Let's get right in. I'm going to be using your imagination, right? Imagine your survey uses this scale. 1 equals strongly disagree and 5 equals strongly agree. And most of your questions are written in a positive way, like "I am happy most days," "I feel excited when I wake up," "I feel great when I'm in my space." Those are positive questions, right? And you have a question like "I feel sad sometimes." For example, if a respondent should select 5, which is strongly agree, to a question as "I feel happy most days," 5 means very happy, right? So 5 there is saying that the respondent is saying "I am very happy." So imagine that same respondent under the question "I feel sad sometimes" also select 5. So the question being asked, it means that I strongly agree that I feel sad sometimes. So that is unhappy. So imagine the first positive question, when 5 is selected, it means that such respondent is happy. But in the second question, which is a negative question, if 5 is selected, it's saying that the respondent is strongly unhappy. So if you just go ahead and just start analyzing without fixing this, then that means that your result is going to be wrong, because that means that you are bringing everything together. So that is what we are solving in this tutorial. So here is how to spot which question you need to flip over before even proceeding into SPSS. You want to take your questionnaire or your survey data and go through the questions one by one, and you ask yourself one simple question as you are going through the questions. Picking a high number in this question, does it mean something good or does it mean something bad? So this is also where you need your code book, because you might not necessarily remember what each questions, especially if you have several sections, you might not necessarily remember that, okay, in this section under being happy, this is the question that needs to be reversely coded. If most of your questions say "high number equals to good" and just one question says "high number," just like I explained earlier, equals to bad, that means that just that one question needs flipping. Here's an easy way to spot questions that need flipping. When you see questions that have words like "not," "don't," "unhappy," "never," "fail," "dislike," questions that have negative sounding words are your biggest clue when doing this. So remember what I said earlier, write down those questions that need flipping in your code book. Now let's actually do the reverse coding in SPSS. That's it we are using, and before we proceed, I told you earlier that we will need to go through the questions to know if we have any negative questions. So here you can see job satisfaction, you can see enthusiastic, you can see unhappy most of the time. This is a negative question. Look forward to work, think about quitting. This is negative. Proud to tell others about the work. This is positive. Sense of accomplishment. This is positive. Drained, exhausted. This is negative. Would recommend company. This is positive. And dread going to work is negative. So we have question 3, question 5, question 8, and question 10, which are negative. Let's say for question number 3, a respondent selects strongly disagree. That means the respondent is saying that I strongly disagree, that I am unhappy most of the time with my work. Practically, if you are doing a reverse coding, that means that 1 will become 5, which is saying strongly agree. But you can't just put 5 here and say strongly agree under this question, because that's practically you saying that the respondent is saying they strongly agree that they are unhappy most of the time. No, that's not what it's saying. So when we are doing reverse coding, remember I also mentioned earlier that you want to create a separate column that has the new name of the reverse coded word. So the reverse coded question will be happy most time. It's just about the respondent should select think about quitting the job, and they select strongly agree. So if the respondent is saying I strongly agree that I think about quitting, if you are doing a reverse coding and you put 5, which is strongly agree, as 1, which is strongly disagree, when you are reversely coding the values, you also want to reverse code the questions. So instead of think about quitting, do not think about quitting. Do you understand? So we are going to do that. I just needed to explain that so we all are on the same page. So right here, you go under transform and recode into different variables. Do not recode into the same variable because you want to have your original question. You recode into different variables, click on it, and you can see here input variable, output variable. So let's move the first one here. We want the name to be happy most time. These questions are positive questions, so we want all our questions to follow the same direction. Once you've done this, you click on the old and new values. The old value here, 1, this will be 5. You will add 1 to the highest value of the scale, subtract it by the old number. So here we have 2, 2 will represent 4, 3 will represent 3, represent 2, and 5 will represent 1. Then after you've done this, click on change, then you can click on OK. So now this is rightly reversed. So now you copy the options and paste it here. Once we have that, you come here and you can see. So check if this is actually working. You come under analyze descriptive statistics, frequencies, move the original question and the newly reversed question here. Then you press your OK. You can see it here that strongly agree here is 5, while strongly disagree is 5. So this shows that we have correctly reversely coded it. So in unhappy most times, the frequency of strongly agree we have is 3, and here happy most times the frequency of strongly disagree we have here is 3. So this shows us that this was correctly done. We also have 2 more negative values, but we'll just be doing for 1 just to save our time. So we click reset. Then the old and new values. Press your OK. Analyze once again. Here we can see that 2 of the respondents strongly disagree, they think about quitting. And here we can see that 2 of the respondents strongly agree that they do not think about quitting. So you can see how we've reversely coded this to fit a positive direction. If you want all your questions to fit into a negative direction, then you ensure that all the questions are negatively directed. Now you can proceed to creating your composite scores and then find the mean of the job satisfaction level among the employees. I have an easy trick for you to remember the flip. For any skill, take the highest value, add 1 to it, then subtract the old number. So let's say you have a scale of 1 to 5 and you know the highest number there is 5. Add 1 to the 5, that is 6, and subtract the old number. If the old number was 2, you subtract it from the 6, and that is 4. That will be your new number. And the same trick works if you have a scale of 1 to 7. 7 is the highest number, so you add 1 to 7, that is 8, and you subtract it from your old number, and that gives you the new number. These are 2 mistakes that almost everyone makes. The first mistake, never change your original question. No, always create a new one, just like I did in this video. If you make a mistake, you can still go back to your original question and make the necessary adjustments. And the second mistake that I see people consistently make, now that you flipped the value, ensure that you consistently use the reversely coded variable or the reversely coded column in all your analysis. So don't use the mistake of using the original question. That's practically everything you need to know about reverse coding. I believe that this was very clear. If you want to learn the whole process yourself, the whole process from knowing how to input data into SPSS to knowing the type of analysis to carry out, everything generally about data analysis, you can always send me a DM via my LinkedIn or via my email as present in my bio, and I will be of great service to you. Have a great day out there and be careful with your data analysis.